Hello! Film Flash Recaps here. Today, our story begins with three bullies in a school hallway, and Miles is the leader of the group. They go to school and approve the students they consider weak. One of the students who is always the target of bullying is an overweight young man named Jimmy. He has been humiliated several times by Miles, but he doesn't have the courage to fight back. Jimmy has two friends at school, Andy and Bobby, who always encourage him. One day when they were walking to school, Miles and his gang got in their way. They asked Jimmy for $100. The amount of money Jimmy didn't have, and coming from a simple family, he wouldn't have anywhere to give it to them. Even though the boy tells them he doesn't have that much money, Miles doesn't care. He insults him and gives him a deadline to bring him $100. Miles, who often bullies Bobby as well, mocking that he acts like a girl. Jimmy tries to console Bobby after the humiliation suffered in front of his classmates. Jimmy and his friends eat in the school canteen, and they are surprised by how much Jimmy can eat, but they never mock him for his excessive appetite. But they tell him that he should get closer to a girl from school, named Adrian, who sneaks a look at him every time they come to the cafeteria. But the discussion is interrupted by the surprising appearance of Miles, who sits down next to Jimmy and asks him for $100 again. One of the students who is disturbed by Miles' presence asks him to keep quiet and leave the cafeteria. Considering himself insulted by a student he considers weak, Miles yells at him and insults him. However, another student who is bigger and stronger than Miles stands up and takes his defense, sitting in front of him. Seeing how big he is, Miles loses his courage and leaves the cafeteria without saying a word. On the way home, Miles approaches Jimmy again, asking him for the $100 again. Jimmy tells him that he doesn't have that much money, and anyway he doesn't owe him anything. Annoyed, Miles knocks Jimmy down with his fist, and then kicks him until an elderly man stops him, threatening to call the police. Then the Golan gets into the car and starts driving, and the old man named Action helps Jimmy and takes him to his house to clean his wounds. Jimmy learns that Action is a former world heavyweight boxing champion and asks him to train him in boxing so he can defend himself against Miles and his gang. Action agrees to help him, but says that he is not old enough to train him anymore, but that he has friends who will. He then visits the boy at home to make sure he is safe and to talk to the parents about the incident and the fact that the boy wants to train in boxing so he can defend himself. The parents are grateful and agree that Jimmy should learn to box and even want to accompany him to Manny's boxing gym. After Manny learns from Action about Jimmy's troubles, he immediately agrees to help him, but warns him that it will not be easy. He will have to make many sacrifices and he must treat boxing very seriously. Jimmy then starts training with Manny, and Action accompanies him to the training to observe his progress. While driving him home, Jimmy tells Action that Miles always mocks him and asks him for $100, and he advises him to promise him double if he gives him another month. Action believes Jimmy will be trained enough to beat Miles on payday, so he doesn't have to give him $200. The next day, at school, Miles jumps on Jimmy's neck again, and he offers him the $200, as Action proposed. After a few moments of thought, Miles accepts the offer and Jimmy hopes to gain peace for a month to train. But in the afternoon at practice, Jimmy is apathetic and indolent, telling Manny that he is an oboist, but he can't fool Manny. He tells him that his problems are mental, not physical fatigue, and tells Action that Jimmy is no longer serious and motivated for training. In the car, on the way home, Action asks him why he's not motivated anymore, and Jimmy admits that he's lost his confidence, feels that the training doesn't help, and doesn't think he's capable of defending himself. Action reassures him and tells him that regardless of the result, the effort is not wasted and everything he does is a valuable lesson for his life. Arriving home, his father is disappointed by his son's choice, and even if he does not force him to return to training, he tells him that maybe one day he will have to teach his own children to stand up to bullies. After the discussion with his father, the desire to continue returns to him and he proposes to resume training more intensively. The next day, Miles and the gang go out of their way to humiliate them again, and they all punch Bobby in the face, for no reason. Jimmy then goes to comfort Bobby, who is crying sitting on a step of the school stairs. He is desperate that he has become the target of the gang's aggression and feels helpless. Jimmy tells him there is a way to stop Miles and his thugs. After school, he takes his bike, goes to the boxing gym more determined than ever. When he arrives at the gym, Action is very happy that Jimmy has changed his attitude. He showed a lot of determination and even caught Manny off guard and sent him to the floor with a full body punch. Manny got up with a smile on his face, pleased that Jimmy took the training seriously. Jimmy becomes more and more ambitious and dedicated, working more and more in training, which led Manny to diversify his training and increase its difficulty. Action gives him the moral support he needs, giving him fighting and self-defense tips to gain more confidence in his own strength. One day, at school, Jimmy tells his friends about the fact that he's doing boxing training and he's going to beat Miles. Just then, Adrian comes to their table and invites Jimmy to go out with her. They come to realize that they like each other when they go to a party given by their friend. Just as they are kissing, Eddie, one of Miles' bullies, approaches them and tries to make fun of them, but Jimmy, much more confident than before, retaliates and forces him to leave. Time passed and the day came when Miles wants the $200, but Jimmy is no longer as scared and is determined to stand up to Miles. He left home with great determination and confidence in his abilities. Miles got in his way and told him he would beat him if he didn't keep his word. In the bathroom, Jimmy meets a boy named Vinny, who knows about him that he trains at the boxing gym and encourages him and wishes him luck. While inside the toilet, Eddie hears their discussion and sends a message to Miles that he will not receive the money. He tells him to call Glass Jow Billy, a known criminal, to help him beat Jimmy. It immediately spread throughout the school, the rumor that after class there would be a big fight, so almost all the students gathered in the yard. Jimmy went to Miles much more confident than before, and he, knowing that he will not receive the money, is waiting for Jow Billy to teach Jimmy a lesson. Only like Vinny, he was prepared and together with some friends neutralized the bully before he got to school. And Miles is left alone in front of Jimmy, who, being inexperienced, receives a blow to the face from the first. But this fact motivates him more and he attacks Miles and sends him to the ground with a blow to the nose. No longer wanting to be humiliated by the bullies, he fights bravely and Miles' friends jump in to help him, hoping they can defeat Jimmy. But Andy and Bobby, overcoming their fear, decide to help him, and Jimmy manages to defeat Miles. After knocking him to the ground, Jimmy orders Miles not to touch anyone in the school. From behind, from the Multimer, Action watched with pride as his student managed to overcome his fear and became a full-fledged and confident young man. The fight in the schoolyard was filmed and went viral on social networks, and was even broadcast on a local television station. And so bullying and naughty behavior in school should be treated more seriously by parents, teachers, and authorities. Everyone, including his parents, appreciates Jimmy for his courage. Now the school has become a safer place and Jimmy will definitely not be bullied by anyone. He is respected by colleagues and friends. He has become the image of the fight against bullying and violence in schools. Thank you for watching. If you liked our summary, please reward us with a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also hit the bell and you will receive a notification when we upload a new video to the channel.